We are back. We are back. Are we recording, KP? This is an absolute reason why we had to bring back Project Mindset, because I think without the power of having a positive mindset, I don't think any of us except Alex would have gotten through this thing, but we did. So this is the Ironman Experience, a special Project Mindset podcast with my brothers here. We got through it, and I just thought it would be really cool to kind of share the experience, the battles we went through. So let's get it started. I got my dude Abstracts here, Alex Pirro, my dude Justin Lee.
Let's go.
Hey guys, All right, so let's start with question number one. I came up with a couple of questions that I think that and a lot of these were questions that I got asked from people, but I think really the reason why, at least for me, I wanted to do this is because it was such a dope experience. I would love to see more people take this on, whether it's even just a marathon or doing a half. Like, this was such a rad experience that I'm like, man, I want more people to understand what we went through and hear some of the stories so that they take it on.
Right.
Yeah, to that point, I mean, just being able to achieve it, just what it does for you from a mental standpoint, overall health standpoint, it's a game changer, right?
Like, it's the energy alone.
Everyone
you can't get that energy anywhere else.
No.
Yeah.
So this is week 2. I think I'm probably gonna take my bracelet off. Looks like you two already took your bracelet.
No,
you
I'm
still got
still
it?
rocking. Yeah,
all
going strong.
I'm trying to get a free meal still.
I know, I'm going places like, you guys know I have this. But I already, it's been 2 weeks, right?
Yep.
And like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm already feeling less cool at home. Like, for 1 week at home, I was a superhero.
You don't have the same clout.
Nah, I don't have the same cloud at
Like,
home.
yo, do the dishes.
It's done.
Do the dishes.
done.
Take the trash out.
All right, so let's dive right in, man. I got 10 questions here. Number one was, what was your first introduction to the Ironman competition, and what did you think about it? Let's start with David.
Yeah, I think the first introduction, like, I've always known about the Ironman, but I was like, you know, everyone's all scared about the swim portion, so I never really paid attention to it until my homie Dale did it last year. He signed up for Ironman California. They canceled it 45 minutes before that, right? So he had to defer, and he went to Florida, and he did it. And I just remember watching on his IG stories, like, when he was crossing that line, I was like, yo, this is about to make me cry, bro. But that energy, I could feel through an IG story. I'm like, I want that energy.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I want. Like,
That's
you know,
cool.
That's what I want. And that's basically how I got introduced to it.
That's dope.
I want that feeling.
How about you, Alex?
St. George, Utah, basically coming out of the pandemic, I signed up for that one. That was May 2021.
Okay.
It was a half, so I got my feet wet with that, and once I did that race, I was hooked.
Yeah.
I'm like, I love this energy. I love the culture that surrounds it, and I wanted to do a full. So that was what really drew me into the whole deal.
And share the story a little bit about, like, what happened with you did that first one, and then why this one, California, meant so much to you.
So it was my redemption, basically. I signed up for Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, last June, and I just didn't prep well enough with the swim in cold water, and I shocked my body in the swim portion, and I was pulled from the water. They checked my vitals. I had crazy high blood pressure. They did the ECG, and they rushed me to the hospital because it was unsafe for me to continue to do anything.
Damn.
So that was a real reality check for me because, you know, I was freaked out. I was in my own head. I'm like, am I going to be able to race? Because I really love the sport. Am I going to continue to do this? So I really had to reevaluate how I trained, both like my mental and physical state. And, you know, I was already signed up for California with you guys in October. So I knew I had to, you know, just kick it in gear. And basically from July to October, Like I said, I changed my whole training program, my diet. I eliminated a lot of distractions, and I was focused on completing that race, no matter what it took, no matter what my time was. I was going to succeed because I didn't want to relive or experience those feelings that I had from Idaho. I'm like, that was the worst thing I've ever felt.
How long ago was Idaho?
That was in June.
I remember hearing about that, and we were training during that time.
Yeah, we were signed up, and I was like, wait a second.
Alex can't do it.
What do you
We
mean?
are not going to be able to do it. We are not going to be able to do it.
I mean, I was in my head for a portion of it, and then also, like I said,
But
I
it
didn't
was
train
just the
properly.
reality. Like,
It
what
reality.
was the change of temperature?
So for that, it was 10 degrees colder than what we anticipated. So it was like 55-degree water. They expected
that's a big
60
difference.
plus, 65. So for me, I wasn't ready for that mentally, and it was.
Did you know instantly, like right when you got into the water? You're like,
Yeah. I mean, they warned us the day before. They said, "Hey, the water's gonna be this cold, so anticipate not really being able to breathe the first couple minutes."
God.
But I was good up until halfway through the swim course.
Interesting.
That's when I started getting nauseous and not feeling
That's
like
scary.
myself. And the guys on the boats, on the kayaks, like they were, as I'm holding on to them, they're like, "Dude, you don't look good. Like you should get out of the water."
Yeah.
I'm like, "No, I'm good. Like I'll swim to the next buoy and see how I feel." And finally, when I got there, they're like, "Yo, you got to come out of the water."
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And
It's
so
no joke.
yeah, it was no joke. And then I started having anxiety for a small portion of it, and like I said, getting in my own head, and I identified the issues, and I overcame those hurdles and geared up for Ironman with you guys. I was inspired by you, you continuing to train, getting up early every single morning. And I'm like, look, I didn't get this far just to get this far.
Yeah.
I'm doing this thing all in.
We kind of all fed off each other.
Yeah.
Like the Strava for sure.
For sure.
For sure.
When I see
For
Strava,
sure.
I'm like, yo, he did 10 miles. Like, I need to do the same thing.
Yeah,
I don't want to do it, but
yeah.
I need to do it.
70 miles, I'm doing 71.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would encourage anybody who's taking it on to find a crew. You know, a lot of people join these teams. You know, and they have these teams. Like we were the team.
Yeah.
You know, because like when I went to my when I finally got a swim coach 3 weeks before the race, she was like, "What are you team elite? Are you?" And then there's some other guy was training with her, and she's like, "Oh no, he's solo." You know, so it's definitely key that family, that crew that you could have to influence each other.
100%.
Yeah,
so
it's
much.
awesome.
For sure.
It's awesome. But yeah, it's no joke. Alana was getting really pissed off at Kaizen because he Googled how many people have died in an Ironman.
Dude, I made that mistake after Idaho.
I was looking at all
It's not
kinds of
good
stuff.
because there is a lot of
There's
gnarly
stuff.
info in
Yeah,
there.
there's stuff that happens. How about you, Justin?
So, similar to David, I've kind of always known about the Ironman. And I kind of had an idea of what it was. And then earlier this year, I think it was in March, I ran my first marathon.
Okay.
And just that whole process of training for an event, or signing up for an event, and then you have
That was March.
Yeah, March.
Okay.
You have like 3 or 4 months to train for something on a structured training plan.
Yep.
And then you show up to this race and you complete this race with all kinds of people who also trained for it. So when I finished that, I was like, this is a really cool experience.
Yeah.
And what I was able to learn, in terms of being an athlete and like all the mental stuff that goes with it, I was like, this is really cool. So afterwards, naturally, if you like an event like that, you're like, what's next? And then
I know you had some challenges on the marathon, right? So
Yeah.
like, how crazy did you think? Like, okay, how the hell am I gonna run? Am I gonna swim 2.4 miles before this?
Yeah.
Bike 112.
I know. It's crazy to think, but I think what went through my mind was because I only had started running when I did that marathon.
Okay.
Prior to that, I've only had run for maybe 6 months. So back then, the thought of running a marathon was crazy to me.
Yeah.
And I was able to do it. Although there were some struggles through it,
Yeah.
I was able to accomplish that. So I think knowing that, I was like, the Ironman seems crazy. All
Crazy.
the extra stuff
Yeah.
before the marathon, but I was like, if I train for it and I give myself enough time and I'm disciplined with my training, there shouldn't be a reason why I wouldn't be able to do it. So
Right,
for sure.
after the marathon, we were all chatting. Me and my buddy Chris, who I ran the marathon with, we're like, what's next? And it's like, Ironman's next if you want to go to the next level. And then we knew you did it, Alex, and then I think there was conversations with David. He was talking about it in the early stages.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until David finally signed up, I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it. Because we were talking.
We were
like,
talking about it.
That was the pivotal moment.
Should we give
I was
it a
scared.
shot?
I was
David
definitely
was
scared.
a little
You signed
scared.
up first?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He pulled the trigger first. I came into the office and David's like, I'm signed up.
I was definitely scared.
And I
Because
was
I talked
like-
to my homie Dale, and I was like, he's the one that finished last year. I was like, how was it? Blah, blah, blah.
Did
I'm like,
he do a
"Man,
half?"
No, he did a full.
He went straight to the
okay.
full.
And I was
Okay.
like, man, if Dale could do it, I could do it.
Right.
No, I remember
right,
the
right,
day
right.
I came into the office and I was seriously considering it, but was scared to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And then David's like, I signed up.
Right.
And I was like, I don't want to miss out.
Right.
I was like, you signed
And
up
that was
for
November.
Sure. Show me
Yeah.
the
That was November
show me the
2021.
confirmation email that you signed up, and he showed it to me. I'm like, I'm signing up then.
Yeah,
and then that was it. And
Crazy.
And then the next thing was
and
get
then
Kev on
and
board.
I'm like, yo,
Yeah, and then you
How
guys
are we
are
gonna
getting
get
in
Kev
my
on board?
ear. Then you guys are getting in my ear. So I first heard about the Ironman when one of my best friends in the world, Tim Kruger, who he did it a few years back, and I just remember hearing about it and him telling like, what? It just sounded crazy to me. It just sounded ridiculous. Like I didn't really know about it or know what it was, and then when he told me about it, I was like, wait a sec. 2.4 mile swim, and we grew up skateboarding together.
Yeah.
He wasn't like an athlete,
Yeah.
right? And what I really remember about why he was doing it is he was working through some things internally. He lost his dad, and I remember he was kind of utilizing that training to work through that mentally and physically and spiritually. And then I got on a couple bike rides with him, but that was it. It wasn't like anything.
Yeah.
And then I remember seeing the video when he crossed the finish line. He did his in Canada. After talking to him, I was like, my friend is an Ironman.
Yeah.
Like my friend did an Ironman race. That's crazy. Wasn't even a thought though.
Yeah.
Seems impossible.
There's
when
no
you first
way.
think about
Wasn't
it.
even a thought.
I don't even think a lot of people even know the detail of like the breakdown of like what the mileage is per
Right.
discipline, basically.
And then I remember he did a half first, and he rocked his Ironman. He was rocking his Ironman hat, but then I remember he didn't post anything about it, but he had an Ironman hat on. I was like, oh, you did it. And he's like, well, I did a half. I was like, what do you mean a half? He's like, yeah, you could do a half. And I was like, well, you should take that hat off then. Yeah.
You should take that hat
You
off.
can't really broadcast it. As
No, and so,
It's just like
Tim,
training.
I remember some of our last conversations. I remember telling him that I signed up. He got really sick towards the end of November and December. And some of our last text messages were about the Ironman. I was trying to get him to laugh, ask him if I could beat his time and stuff like that. And so I signed up in November, end of November.
Yeah. So beginning of December, I think.
Yep, and then, he passed on January 1st. So, that became a major, glue
Yeah.
of all right,
That sealed the deal.
now I have to do
Yeah.
this.
Right.
Now I have to do this. So, going on to question number 2.
Well, actually, I remember the day we were in the gym.
Yeah.
Because I kept telling you, let's do this.
Yeah.
Do this. You're like, let me think about it. And I was like, you know what day it's on? It's on
That's still the
October
deal.
23rd.
So
Yeah.
that leads into the second question I wrote, what was the process like leading up to considering it and then finally signing up?
Yeah.
And why did you sign up? So I shared a little bit for me already, but that was the official thing.
Yeah.
Tim, I think if either way I would have done this, but when I signed up, Tim was still here. So that was definitely inspiration. But the official thing was that it fell on October 23rd,
Yeah.
which, my best friend in the world was Jonas Bavacqua, and that's his birthday. And so every October 23rd, I put a lot of energy into that day. Last year, we made this video that I almost died driving his motorcycle in the rain, and I was like, how am I gonna top that?
I forgot about that.
Dude. So that sealed the deal for me of why I officially signed up, was because I gotta do this for 2 people now.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it for you
Nice.
guys? Like, was there something for you? It was that redemption.
Oh,
You had
absolutely.
to.
100%.
What pushed you
For
over
me,
the
it
edge?
was just the energy. I wanted to chase the feeling that couldn't be purchased.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, and then I wanted to show my daughter and my wife that
Yeah.
anything was possible. And then I also thought about like the other people that would want to do it, that were like disabled or they couldn't do it. You know,
Yeah.
those people,
Yeah.
I'm like taking up their spot.
Right.
If they
right,
wanted to do it,
Wow.
I'm like, yo, I gotta
That's
do
heavy.
it. Like, you
Yeah.
know, like if somebody else wants to do it and they're like, they can't do it, I'm taking their spot.
Yeah,
like, you
yeah,
know, like
yeah.
I might as well do
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
for them.
I like that.
Like, you know, and it's just like energy. It's
Yeah.
the energy that you cannot get from anywhere else. Like, because when Dale was running and crossing the finish line, I was like, yo, watched on his IG story. I'm like, I could probably feel like 1% of his energy. Like, you know, I don't know what he trained. I don't know how
Yeah.
like how lonely he was on those
Right,
routes,
yeah.
jumping in that cold water at 5 a.m. to swim.
Yeah.
Or even like getting cramps. I never like all that buildup is like at the end when we finally cross it.
Yeah.
Ironman, it's all worth it. Like, you know,
And
and
I-
you can't get that
And
unless
I
you go
feel,
through it.
I feel like that's one of the dopest things about this. Like, we all have jobs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, there's people who they do this for a living, and
Right,
much
yeah.
respect to those people.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they do.
Yeah.
Like, this is not what we do.
Yeah. Not definitely
Like,
not what we do.
But that's what I love about it, is like, okay, we are doing this for the intention and for the reason of health and vitality,
Yeah.
and simply proving that like the slogan of Ironman is anything is possible.
Yeah.
And that's the
Yeah.
whole reason.
Yeah.
Like, we're not getting paid for this. It's
Yeah.
actually super expensive.
Super
to do this.
expensive.
Super expensive.
Yeah, really.
Super
Yeah.
expensive.
Why'd you sign up?
I think for me, like I was already so passionate about health and wellness and about training and pushing my body to new limits. So after the marathon, signing up for this, I knew that there was going to be limits that definitely needed to be pushed. And I heard a lot about, after I signed up, before I signed up, I did a lot of research about what does it take really to train for this. And it's like, you got to really be on point with your recovery. You got to be really on point with your nutrition.
Yeah.
You have to train
Super
strategically,
Yeah.
but you also have to put in a lot of volume and training time, and you got to be really disciplined. So that aspect of it I really liked, because I knew that it was going to push me to be a better athlete. And everything that I learned just training for a marathon, I was like, I can't even imagine what I'm going to learn about recovery, about nutrition, and then just about training overall, doing an Ironman. So that was one thing that really pushed me. And I think also too, just knowing that, you know, life could be really short, and I always want to just take on as many experiences as possible.
For sure.
And you know, you've always told me you got to take on things that are scary.
Yeah.
You got to push yourself, and you know, I knew it was going to be a really good journey. And although it seemed hard and scary, I was like, I know once I sign up, it's going to be something I will not regret. I'm doing it with all my buddies, and like David said, just the energy of doing it. Even right when I signed up, it took me into a different level of energy that I hadn't been in before. I was like,
Pushing your limits.
just pushing my limits. So
Yeah.
I think just being really excited about the journey and knowing that after I crossed the finish line, all of the training, the race, just a whole 10-month journey, there's only going to be good things that come from
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah, for sure.
And knowing that made me really excited to sign up. And, you know, I think I went into it with a really positive outlook, and you know, that's what I got from it. Just
That's
a lot
tight.
of positive energy, and
Sure.
you know, we'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah, hell yeah, absolutely. I thought for sure it was a big motivator as well. I mean, I had the big reason why, but I also had a very vain reason as well. I thought for sure I would get a 6-pack. For sure.
I said the same thing.
I thought for sure I'd be like, man, I'm gonna look so good. I look exactly the same. I look at, like the week before was the only, and it's, you know, they say abs are made in the kitchen. So prior to 7 days before the race, my diet actually did not change one bit. But then the week before, I ate really, really healthy, and that was it. And then, like, I think I got home, and that was the first time when I got home, I was like, man, I do look a little different. Right back to normal though now after 2 weeks. So that did not that
You're burning like 9,000 calories on Ironman.
It's tough after the workouts though to not want to like eat anything and everything.
Yeah,
When you're
it was
training,
like,
you're like,
I earned this.
I just did a 6-hour ride. Like I'll eat this whole pizza or
Dude,
Chipotle
Mexican
or whatever.
pizza is back. Like,
what I
what a
did.
perfect time for Taco Bell to bring the Mexican pizza back in the middle of all this training. Which area of the race was your biggest concern?
Mine, in the beginning when I first signed up, the swim. Definitely
Okay.
the swim. There was like, I remember the first time we went to go swim, it was me, Kev, Justin, and Chris. And I think it was with Mike. We went to that swimming pool, Irvine, I don't know what it was, a high school or something.
Northwood High School.
Went there. It's like a 25-yard swim lap, right?
Yeah.
You go down it one time, and I'm dying.
Yeah.
25 yards, I'm
Yes.
dying. I'm
Yes.
like, take me home.
How bad you sucked at swimming made me feel really confident.
Yeah, that was bad. And I'm like, and then the Ironman's 2.4 miles, right? So that's like 4,200 yards, basically.
Yeah.
And I just swam 25 yards, and I'm dying. There's no way
Yeah.
possible this is
I remember
happening.
David's
You were
swim
breaking
game
it down.
gave me a lot of confidence.
My swim
Because
game
he
was
was
horrible.
consistent. I was like, all right, I just got to stay close to David then. Because I knew you were going to do it. I know what your dedication and your consistency is like. And I knew you were going to do it. So
Yeah.
I couldn't relate myself to these two
Yeah, no way.
necessarily. Like,
Dude,
this
I'm a
dude,
horrible swimmer.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
everything
no way.
else, as a whole, I was like, okay, physically, I'm the closest to David.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
So if David could do this shit, I could do this. Yeah, you were getting in arguments with those old ladies.
Yeah. It was
Wait, what
horrible.
happened?
Because I was swimming the laps, and then we were swimming like 3 or 4 people in the same lane, right? So I would swim back around, and I was like, I'm done. I can't swim another lap. And these old ladies would be like, go, just start swimming.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
got fins on too, and you're like slow.
Oh, no.
I'm like, I'm over. I'm never coming back to the swimming pool. Signed for 24 and just swam on my own.
Yeah.
I'm like, Justin, set us up.
Yeah.
No way, bro.
Nah, that's
Done.
awesome. How about you guys? Biggest
Oh,
concern?
Swim all day long.
Swim,
yeah,
same.
I mean, especially after Idaho. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I was, like I said, I was in my head, and I'm not the strongest swimmer. I'm definitely not. And the guys that I trained with were like CIF swimmers, and like I would just be like, dude, I can never keep up with these guys, and so I'd get even more discouraged. And just thinking about that race day, that race morning, I was constant panic mode. I'm like, man, all the people, the commotion, the water. I'm like,
So easy to
That's a
panic.
lot.
Yeah.
Easy to panic
For
in the
sure.
water.
no
I
matter how many
remember-
times I trained and swam in cold water, whatever, not freezing cold water, but in cold, like open water over here, I'm like, dude, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Even the-
and you kept on pushing us because I don't think we did any open
I-
water.
I
swim
tried
at the
to
time. You're
emphasize
like, you
it.
gotta do open water. You gotta
Yeah.
do open. I was like, I do not want to do open
It's
water.
such a
Like,
different world.
It's a game changer.
You
yeah.
can't see.
Nope.
Yeah, I remember when I did my first mile in a pool and I posted my time. I was feeling like mad proud of myself. Like, I just swam a mile. Like, I've never really swam like that for any reason.
Yeah.
I grew up skateboarding. I never did any other sports. And so that was a big deal for me. And I remember, you know how on IG, somebody can forward you a story and you can comment to your friend who forwarded you that story, but many times it's going to go back to that person who did that post.
Yeah, if you
So-
do it incorrectly.
Yes.
If you
So-
do it incorrectly.
I post this thing, oh yeah, I just did my first swim, blah, blah, and I imagine my time was probably super whack, right? And then I see a random comment from somebody and they said, oh, he's in trouble. And
Oh no.
I was like,
Who was it?
I don't know the person. Yeah, and then I even went and looked, I was like, oh dang, this is like somebody in the community. We have like mad mutual
Yeah, yeah.
friends.
That's
And I just
funny.
replied back, I agree.
I agree.
Yeah, but I remember thinking like, damn, that sucks. People are dissing me. I got mad props though, also.
Yeah.
More props, but it's always that one person.
That's the one
But it
that's
probably
saying-
motivated you.
I was like, all right,
Yeah.
all right. All right, so what was your training regimen, and what was the biggest challenge making it all work? What was your training regimen, and what was your biggest challenge making it all work?
I think we were all pretty much on the same regimen, right? We were doing training peaks. It would just break it down to like Monday through Friday. You would do like an hour, like either it was like a run, swim, or bike during that time. But then we would do the long rides on Saturday or Sunday. So when it came closer to the race, it was like 2 months or 3 months out. We were doing like 6-hour rides, and then like a 30-minute run after that. But
for anyone listening who doesn't know, too, Alex, you put me on Training Peaks.
Yeah, same.
Training Peaks is a website that you can go on, and it's for any event, marathon, Ironman, swim competition, really any event.
Anything.
You can choose
Trainingpeak.com?
trainingpeaks.com for anyone listening. So you can go there, and let's just say you want to train for your first half marathon.
Yeah.
You select the event, and then you select, are you a beginner? Have you done this event before? Have you done it a couple times? Are you intermediate or are you advanced? And then based on what you select, you can go into it more and select how many days a week do you want to train?
Right.
How many hours are you available? And then it populates all these training programs for you to choose from, and they're all written by coaches and you can go on and you can see which one best fits your your lifestyle and training style, and you can select one and you can just train off of that. That's what we all did.
You curtail it to your specifications, so it's
and that helped out a lot.
It did.
Like you just wake up and you know exactly what to do that
takes
day.
the guessing out of it.
I think it definitely there was a very clear point. I don't remember exactly when it was, but I was clearly not on the same page or level or commitment as you guys. You know what I mean? And it was probably like...
Kev dropped out like 4 times.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm like, yo, we're going to swim right here, 5 a.m., let's go to 24 hours.
Where it was like, I got to get real. And I just kind of kept saying that. And I think that's why I'm a big advocate, because knowing how little training I did, I don't recommend that. You know, I think I saw somebody say that your race day is your celebration for all your training. Right?
For real.
And race day did not feel like a celebration to me. It was brutal. It was painful. We'll share more about that. But yeah, I mean, like, I got to 1.4 miles total as far as my farthest swim. I got to 60 miles total on my bike. And I got to like a 16-mile run total. So nowhere close to the proper training. But it still got done, you know. But I think to look back and to make any recommendations is like, you gotta take it serious.
But going back to your question too, that's part of the biggest hurdle is having the time, finding the time. I mean, we have families, kids, crazy work schedules. Being able to maintain that, whether it's Training Peaks or whatever program you're on, maintaining that is the hardest part in my mind. And then to your point, race day is like the release.
Right.
Maintaining the training is like the hardest part. Race day, it's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to be like
you learn everything in training. Like I've learned so much in training.
Exactly. So
that video, so funny to see that video where I was on the wrong crank.
You were on the bottom.
I was on the small crank. I had just gotten my bike, and it was so gnarly to look back. I was like, holy shit, that was 3 weeks ago. And I went...
Wait, how many miles was that?
25 miles.
And I just remember Kev catching up, and he's like, yo, how do you guys go so fast? And then Kev was just like spinning his legs like 1,000 times, and we do like 50 pedals and do the same speed.
Oh, man.
It's like, I don't know what's wrong.
Oh, my goodness. I will say, though, those mornings, there were a few mornings where I had to get up at 3:45, and I met at your house. I think one time the meetup time was like 3:45 once. Those mornings, there was a couple mornings where we already had a few miles in by 4:30 a.m. And I'm like, I'm an animal. I'm a beast. Like, I can do anything. Something about waking up at a ridiculous time and getting after it shows I'm committed.
You committed.
It's that up before the enemy kind of feeling.
For sure.
For sure.
What Was there a breakthrough moment in training when you realized you could do it?
For me, probably during the bike ride. So I hit a 70-mile bike ride with my homie Ian.
Okay.
Right? And on mile 65, I was done. My legs were cramping. I got off the bike on mile 70 and it felt like I was breakdancing because my legs were like pop locking
Wobbly.
because I was cramping so
Yeah,
bad.
you had an injury.
Yeah.
There was a one point.
There was a lot of injuries. Like during the run,
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
I had a knee issue, right?
Right.
And I was like, "There's no way I'm gonna do this. No, I'm not gonna do this. Like I'm gonna defer it to the next year." But I think what really like made me do it was like that bike ride. When I hit 70 miles, I was like, "Yo, there's something wrong." Like my homie Ian's doing this so easy, and I'm dying over here. And then I started researching more. I was like, nutrition.
Yeah.
I need to dial my nutrition.
Yeah.
And that was probably like 6 weeks out or 7 weeks out from
Yeah.
the Ironman race.
Yeah.
So after I started doing the research on the nutrition, we did a 100-miler probably like 2 weeks after
Right.
that, and I felt good. I was
Yes.
like, yo,
Yeah.
I'm unstoppable now.
All
Right.
the
I'm
all the
unstoppable
stuff
now.
that you guys were sharing about that had a major impact on me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it was just like, I don't know, you just you see the miles, you see the time. Okay, I'll do that. But everything that you guys kept saying about the nutrition and the tailwind and,
Yeah.
and the electrolytes and all those things, I'm like, all right.
Yeah. Tailwind, cliff blocks.
Yeah.
What else were you doing?
Yeah.
Martin bars,
Salt tablets.
salt tablets.
Yeah.
All the, like, you know, if they want to sponsor us next year, it'd be cool. 'cause
Yeah, so
Ironman's pretty expensive.
we'll put a little sponsorship promo.
Tailwind for sure.
KP, add a little thing right here. All the things
All
that
the-
made a big impact for us. Martin,
Yeah, Martin.
Cliff
clip blocks.
Tailwind for
Tailwind.
sure.
For sure. Mandarin orange.
Yes.
For sure. Those are game changers. Definitely. Because you feel like you don't need it when you're riding like an hour or 2 hours on the
Yeah.
bike. But when you start hitting that 3-hour mark, 4-hour marks, and you start feeling it, it's too late.
Yeah.
Like you
It's-
need
yeah.
already,
You
need to
gotta
start
stay
that in the
on
beginning.
top of that every hour.
Yep.
Yeah.
You have to maintain that.
Yeah.
Yep, I learned
Yeah.
that early.
It
And I
was
was
a-
trying to push that on you already kind of knew. He already has his hour like set. And I was telling Justin next, I'm like, yo, you gotta dial your nutrition.
Yeah.
Justin's like, I got my nutrition dial. I got my Fig Bar. I got my Gatorade. I'm like, no, bro.
Yeah.
You're gonna
More.
find out. Yeah.
There's more.
When you find out, it's like, oh.
I had a moment. It was probably like 45 days before the race, because I was so in and out.
Yeah.
You know, but because of the training I didn't do, it was like I didn't want to miss the pumpkin patch thing. I didn't want to miss the bird, and so there's no excuses. You know, like the race is gonna go on
Right.
with
coming.
it. That's life.
Yeah.
And so you know, I don't think there's any refunds for this thing either. And so it was
Nope.
like, after, it was a gradual thing, like, okay, learning that I could actually swim a mile, okay, great. And then going on my first open water swim with you guys. And then it was the first time that I did I did it solo, I did a 60-mile bike, and then I just tried to run, and I ran 10 miles. So I did 60 miles on the bike or something, and then a 10-mile run. And I made it, and I
Yeah.
was like, I could do this.
Yeah.
I could
Yeah.
do this. It was like 45 days before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were there any times leading up to the race that you considered canceling or postponing it?
Oh, for me,
Yeah.
definitely on the run. When I was running and my knee was aching, I was running with Ian. We were just doing a simple like 6-miler.
Yeah.
And he wasn't that confident either in doing the Ironman. We're like, maybe we should defer it. Like, I think it was like in July, like late July.
Yeah.
And we're like, let's just give it till August. Like, if we feel the same way in August, we're going to defer to next year.
Right.
You know, then we just started packing on miles and miles, and it was just like, nah, we could do this. Like,
Yeah.
August came around, I'm like, no, we're sticking with it.
Just kept going.
Like, you
Yeah.
know, there's so many times where we're just like, I want to cancel. There's no way we're going to do this. Like, you know.
And I think it's like shifting your mindset, right? To like, okay, well, that pain, unless a doctor tells you otherwise, is actually your, like, as cliche as it sounds, no pain, no gain. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some pains that's your body telling you need to do some work
Yeah,
on
for
some stuff.
sure.
Like, don't ignore that. But then there's a lot of it is that you're actually growing. You're
Yeah,
actually
and a lot of
improving.
it too for me was like mental. I'm like, I want my knee to hurt, so I could defer. Like, I want to get out of this
really?
situation. Like, you know, it
Subconsciously?
crossed my mind a few times. Like, my knee hurts. Like, I'm gonna defer.
Oh, damn.
Like, easy. Like, that's an easy way out. Like, you know.
Yeah.
But then the next day you start training again. You're like,
Right.
nah, we need
Yeah.
to.
I'm getting
Yeah,
through
we're
this.
gonna
Yeah.
get through this.
Yeah.
For sure. Idaho, I literally, I thought I was done. Like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to turn this around.
That's scary.
And that was like
Super scary.
It was a couple days, and then finally, when I got back, I remember this specifically. I went to swim a full Ironman distance, like a couple days after the race, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
for sure. I swam like 4,300 yards. Granted, it was in the pool, and I'm like, screw this. Like,
Did you catch any flack at home because of the fact you're in the hospital and that you didn't put all this aside and
not really. I mean, I got shit from buddies.
Okay.
You know, just because from like the hockey community and having that, you know, alpha male kind of mentality, like giving me a hard time about not completing the race.
Oh no, I meant you better stop messing around with this Ironman thing. Oh, you got flack from buddies like that?
Oh yeah, I got the complete opposite. And it was like, dude, I got no breaks. They're like, yeah, I can't say what they said, but then, you know, my wife and my family just wanted to make sure like I was in the right headspace. They wanted to make sure I was healthy enough. Like they felt sorry for me, and then that actually made me feel even worse because I'm like, dude, this is not me. This is not me.
Right.
Going from doing St. George, which is a way harder course, to doing Coeur d'Alene, which is supposed to be an easier course, I was really upset. And then that's when I just came back with like a vengeance.
Yeah,
and like I gave it a week of like poor me, and then I was like,
tight.
yeah,
that's tight. All right, so the next question is race week. What was it like the week before and arriving?
Oh man,
Go ahead, Jess.
the week before.
Yeah, the week before, and then arriving, and then getting there.
So the week before for me, I was like, I remember when I think it was a week before when I dropped off my bike. So I had my bike shipped to Sacramento. And, you know, as you get closer to the race, you're like, oh, it's coming up. It's coming up.
Yeah.
It's coming up. And then when I went to the bike shop to drop off my bike for them to ship it out,
Okay.
that was a really emotional moment. Like, they're taking this
turning
bike.
back.
No turning back. And they're taking this bike that I've been training on for the last 9 months to the race event.
Yeah.
And this is it.
This
No
is it.
no more training sessions on that bike.
Right.
So that was a pretty emotional moment. And I'm like, I remember I think I texted you. I'm like, this is it.
This is it.
It's
Just
coming
got
up.
real.
It's
Yeah.
it got real. So leading up to it, you know, I was a lot of emotions. You know,
Yeah.
I think one thing too is that like you always hear people say, it's like you think the gold is what you were working for,
Right.
which is the race. But you realize quickly that the gold was actually the training that you were going through the whole time. So I think the week of, I was like, wow, I was reminiscing on all the training that we had all done together and the early moments in December, early January. And I'm like, this is all over.
Yeah.
Like all this training that I could have easily thought like, oh, I want to get this done and just get to race week. It is gone and it is done. There is no more putting in the work. So that feeling was kind of, you know, it was an emotional feeling. It was like,
sure.
this
Super
is
emotional.
it.
yeah.
The training is over, and now we go to race week. But you know, this is it.
Yeah.
So it was pretty crazy.
Yeah,
A lot of
it's
mixed
crazy.
emotions.
A lot of mixed
Yeah.
emotions for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
What
'Cause
about you guys?
Similar. I mean, I tried to document my last like longer workouts. I think I saw quite a few of yours too.
Yeah.
I was like just trying to take in my last long run, my last long ride, my last long swim, because I'm like, this could be the last time I'm doing this.
Yeah.
It could be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Until after you do the race, you're like, all right, let's sign up for another one. But
Yeah.
you're that week before, you're like, man, I might not ever do this again. So I'm going to take it all in.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're excited, and then you're stressed. And
Yeah.
that's why I said the mixed emotions sort of are all over the place.
Yeah, I think you hit like different points of like, oh shit, this is really happening.
Yeah.
Like it could start from like when you sent out the bike, like, oh shit, this is really happening.
Yeah.
And the next day you get closer and closer and closer, and then you end up on ready to jump in the water, like,
Right.
oh shit, this is really happening right
Yeah.
now. Like, you know,
Yeah.
there's like different points of like you hitting it, like,
Yeah.
you know, it's kind of crazy.
I think I'm a great example of just how not to do it, right? Like, all I could think about was I wish I had a couple more months.
Yeah.
And the last week for me was an absolute shit show because I was trying to rush. There's a taper. Hey, my Strava does not lie. My IG does not lie. You go to my Ironman highlight reel.
You were working hard.
I was
dude.
grinding, bro. Like, I just had to. I'm like, all I could think about was I've never experienced a Centurion ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got to get one in. I've got to get one in. And then the day I was planning on getting the Centurion ride in, I remember I was on my bike. I started late because whatever reason, and wifey texts me. She's like, hey, we're all going to go. Oh, I swam with you guys that morning.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, all right, after we get out of the swim, then I'm going to go on my ride. Oh, no, actually, it was the day that we went to catch the swim, and it was after the rain, so we didn't go swimming.
We didn't jump
so
in.
then
We went swimming.
at Equinox, and then we end up chilling at the coffee spot. So by the time I get on the bike, it's like 12.
Yeah.
That was the day that I plan on doing my Centurion ride. And about 40 miles in, wifey texts me, hey, we're going to go to Tanaka Farms. We're going to go to the pumpkin. So long story short, I go on that. I only get like 65 on that day, and I was just like frustrated with myself. We get back, dinner. Next thing you know, I'm running at midnight. I
Yeah.
did a run. It's on my Strava that night.
Yeah.
Pitch black, midnight. Like,
Oh my gosh.
Because for people that don't
Yo.
know, like when you do a 100-mile bike ride, you're on the bike for at least 6 hours.
At least.
Six.
6 hours at least. Six and a
Yeah.
half to 7 hours for 100 miles. And a lot of people don't understand.
They don't
like
grasp it,
you don't grasp it unless you actually ride that 100 miles. Like
I
you know,
changed my shoes the last week. I changed the seat of my bike the
you
last
spray
week.
fog or the
Just-
anti-fog in your goggles
just
right
to
before
try
the
to-
swim.
Dude, that's the
Just to
worst.
try to
Yeah.
figure things out, and then I ended up not changing.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, yo, stop trying to change stuff. But I felt like I was just so behind. And so I was
Yeah.
trying to do all these
Yeah.
last minute things rather than just like, yo, just chill.
Yeah.
Everything's all
I mean,
good.
that's the best thing you could do for like the last week is chill
Just
and not
chill.
overthink anything.
Yes.
Don't switch anything. Don't switch your nutrition. Don't do any of that.
Yeah.
Because it's just gonna mess up your race.
A lot of emotion arriving in Sacramento too. That's
Oh.
another level of like, oh shit, here we
Yeah,
go.
like seeing all you guys for the first time in Sacramento was like, oh, we're about to change.
In the village.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
start
And the
seeing
energy
all,
is
all the
just-
athletes. Everyone's got their tri
All the
bikes.
bikes.
Yeah.
I was like, yo,
it's
this is
crazy.
actually.
It
It
hits
kind of
differently.
seemed like every person that I saw in the hotel in different places, this was just in my head, but I feel like everybody that I saw that had an Ironman wristband on or something that I was trying to do quick little small talk with had no interest in doing any type of small talk.
Yeah, everyone's
You know what I
focused.
mean?
They're in their head, dude. They're ready
Yeah.
for races.
Everyone
Yeah.
is focused.
Morning of and the moment you got in the water, what was it like?
I remember just like
Crazy.
so Justin jumped in first, and it was me, Kevin, Ian, and we were walking up to the line. I just remember my feet freezing, standing on that asphalt that
Yeah.
was cold, and then like amateurs that we were, like everyone brought shoes and kicked their sandals off
Yeah.
before they jumped in the water. And then I just remember Kev picking up anti-fog stuff, switching stuff up, spraying his goggles. I'm like, I do not want to switch anything right now.
Yeah.
I just want to get in the water and just
Changing
swim.
stuff up to the
He was
very
switching-
last
he was-
second.
Yeah.
I
Because
didn't
I was
know
bummed
that.
I didn't find it. I bought the anti-fog stuff. Like all these stupid
Yeah.
things that in my head I
Yeah.
think were necessary, and I forgot to spray it in the morning, and I saw some on the floor. So it, literally, like we're in line,
I was like,
close
oh
to the water.
my
I was like,
God.
oh yo, look at there's some of that fog stuff. Sprayed it in my goggles, and then I didn't have
It was
anything.
like
Oh,
a
man.
minute before
And I
start.
didn't have anything
Before we got to the tuck.
rinse it off with. And I
No
goes,
way.
hey, there's a sock right there.
I did not want to think of it. I was like, yo, Kev's on his own. I'm blocking all this out. If Kev can't see, it's not my issue. I'm jumping in the water. I don't care. Kev brought this on himself.
Yeah, I gotta get through this.
I gotta get through this. He started spraying it. It's foggy. He's trying it on. And then my homie Ian's like, there's a water bottle.
Yeah.
Oh, it didn't clear out.
Rinse it out.
There's a glove. And he started wiping with the glove. I'm like, oh my.
Tag
You're on your own,
scratch
bro.
I
on
was
there.
a mess.
You're on your own,
I was a
bro.
mess. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
lining up for that swim was crazy because the way it works is they let 5 people in
Yeah.
Rolling
every
start.
5 seconds,
Yeah.
rolling start, and you line up where you anticipate to finish. So the fastest swimmers line up first, and then it progresses back like that.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was standing in line, and I probably waited in line for like 10 minutes,
Uh-huh.
and I started slowly getting up to the front, and I got to the point where I could see the water, and I was right there. I'm like, yo, this is it. Like,
Go time.
the water is right there. And I remember when I was the next I was in the group
Yeah.
that went in next, and I'm like, the second I go in this water, it's go time for
Yeah.
like 12,
Yeah.
13, 14 hours.
Yeah.
This is it. So that was a crazy moment too.
Yeah.
Seeing the process of everybody going in the water was a huge relief to me, because that was actually my biggest fear when I Googled the photos. And I'm like, yo, this looks like the movie 300. This doesn't look safe.
Charging the water.
What the hell is
I was
this?
worried
You
about the
showed me a
same
photo and I was
thing.
like, oh, hell no. Hell no. I
Just a
can't-
bunch
and
of
then-
ants on top of each
And then
other.
people that I talked to were like, oh yeah, people are going to be swimming on top of you. You're going to get kicked in the
Kicking you,
face.
punching you.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean? I'm just trying to get through a swim. I'm not trying to
Yeah.
get kicked in the face.
Yeah.
So when I actually saw it, I was like,
Not that
oh,
bad.
this is mellow.
Yeah, it's not
Everyone's
bad.
spaced
It's mellow.
out. Everybody's like,
Yeah.
It wasn't that crazy.
Yeah, morning of that, and everyone's focused.
Yeah.
Everyone's
They're
trying to-
dialed.
I was
Yeah.
happy. I
Yeah.
was really happy, really inspired.
Yeah.
Like, wow, this is really going down. I felt
Yeah,
the presence
it was
of
cool.
Tim and Jonas.
It
I
was
was like,
very
this is
nice.
going down.
Yeah, Jonas showed up on your watch, like 47 showed up
Bro,
for
a
something.
grip,
right
a
before we were about to
bunch,
jump in
a
the water.
bunch.
I
That's
kept
crazy.
thinking too, like you were telling me, I think the day before, I don't know if it was some lady at the village told you this. She was like, all the hard work is what you were working
Yeah.
for, but this race is the reward.
This is the celebration.
So I kept trying to think that too in the moments where I would get nervous or,
Yeah.
or would get in my head. I'm like, this is like you enjoy it. You deserve
Yeah.
this. This is the reward.
yes.
So
yeah. It felt like a bit of a party. It was
Yeah,
like,
it
oh,
was
this is a
definitely
party.
a party.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
party. A
for
bunch
real.
of crazy people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I would have actually gone with you guys the morning of.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
you parked at the swim start.
Yes.
I got stuck on the freaking shuttles with
Yeah.
all the people, and you were in the water like what 45 minutes probably
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
We
wanted
We
to
were
get the head
in
start.
line.
Yeah.
So we were in line. It was an absolute mess. I heard
Yeah,
the
it was-
buses got lost.
Yeah.
It was
Buses
crazy.
got
It
lost.
was so unorganized.
We talked about it though. Like, should we invite Alex? We're like, nah, we need a head start on Alex. He's not coming in our van. Let him take the shuttle.
I got in at 8:09 a.m. and that's, I mean, going back to the morning up, I was actually more chill than the other two half Ironman races that I signed up for. I was comfortable. Then the panic started setting in when I realized, like, dude, this is like an hour behind.
Yeah, for everyone listening, there was
Yeah.
a shuttle system from the transition station to where the swim start
Yeah.
was.
It's like a mile away, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and the line for the bus ride to get to the swim start was just extremely long.
Yeah.
Not
Probably
enough
like an
buses.
hour away.
Yeah.
Way too many athletes.
Yeah. So was it from getting out of the water to getting to our bike?
It's a
That
half
was
mile.
hella
Half mile
far.
run.
Half mile
If I'd have
run.
known that, I would have brought some shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We didn't know anything.
yeah, we didn't know.
Prepare next time. For sure.
What moments during the race did you feel your best and your worst? Biggest challenges, most unexpected events.
For me, the best was getting out of the water.
Yeah.
Like once I got out of the water,
I'm with you 100%.
I was
Me
just
too.
like,
Me too.
it was emotional to get out of the water because 10 months before that, I did not know how to swim that well.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I
yeah.
conquered that. I was like, yo, if I could conquer the swim, the bike, and the run should be cake. Like,
Yeah.
I could
get
do
me
that.
out of the
Get me out of
I
the
was
water.
freaked out about the swim
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Right when I got out of the water, I was like, okay, I'm good. Like, you know, and I was straight after that until the wind.
Yeah.
The bike, the wind was crazy on the bike.
I think we were all the same because the swim was the. I think a lot of us thought the swim was going to be the hardest
I
part.
was scared. of
And
the
now we
swim.
look back, the swim was actually the easiest. part.
Easiest.
So I bugged out in the first 5 minutes of the race,
Uh-huh.
of the swim. Like, so it started with water. So I felt good. I got in the water. I was like, dude, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. This is mellow.
Yeah.
Dope. And I was remembering everything my coach, shout out to my coach, Stephanie, who I met with 3 weeks before the race. Water immediately got in my goggles. I just bought the goggles the day before. So
Was that my fault?
He didn't even try
That's
it.
your fault.
He didn't even try him on or
That's your
anything.
fault.
I did tell
didn't
Kev.
even- yo, I was taking off the plastic, like water got in my
They might have been
goggles.
upside down. I don't know.
And so I looked up, and for some reason, I was super cross-eyed, dude. Like, for real, I'm not kidding. And then so I took my goggles off. This is at the start of the race. I'm like, okay, I'm fine. I put them on, and I'm cross-eyed. I'm like, dude, what do I do?
It was
And
that
then-
spray,
I
bro.
don't know what it was. And so anyways, I got in a groove, and then I started to freak out. I for real started to freak out, and I get on a little buoy thing, and I can't do this. Like, You know, there's just so much more ahead.
Yeah.
And then this other lady gets on the buoy thing, and she's really bugging.
Yeah.
She's like, she's freaking out. And then she just dips. Like, she goes from freaking out, just takes off. I'm like, all right, dude. All right,
The
man.
adrenaline kicked in.
And then next thing you know, I had the time of my life in the swim. Once I got into the groove, there was a little issue with a buoy that floated away.
Yeah.
And mad people, I'm talking like 50 people going in this direction,
Yeah.
and then jet skis are all over the place.
I
telling
hit that
people
buoy.
to
I
go.
got stuck on that buoy.
Yeah.
But once I got in the groove, and then seeing how quickly it was over, that tripped me out. You know, and I
Yeah,
got
it
out of
was
that
fast.
water, and I was like, dude, I got this.
Yeah, I felt the same way.
Biggest challenges, though, as we all know,
Amen.
the biggest challenges, as we all know, I feel like we deserve extra credit for this. Like, we all, and I think anybody who went through this race just really needs the world to understand what the wind was like. Yeah, it's just nobody was prepared for that.
No.
And the
No.
only way you can really go off of this is based on the numbers, because I was looking up and Googling how many people do not finish. And on average, it was like 100 to 200 people do not finish each Ironman. And my understanding on this Ironman was like 3,700 people started.
Yeah.
Right.
And like
2608 or
2608.
2609 finished.
Yeah.
Right. So like over 1,000 people
Yeah.
didn't finish.
Yep.
And I believe that 85-90% of that was due to the wind.
For
the
sure.
wind was no
crazy.
joke.
The wind was
So
crazy.
the way the course was set up, it was 28 miles down one direction, 28 miles back. You hit the halfway point, and then you do that loop one more time. So the first way down is 90% tailwind. So
Not 90, no way, because we had a lot of crosswinds.
there was some crosswind, but the majority of it was tailwind. So we were riding pretty smoothly. So the first time I went down, right when I got out of the swim and I was riding that first 28 miles, I'm like, I'm going really fast.
Everyone's
It's like
excited.
22.
Everyone's
Yeah.
excited at that point.
Yeah,
So for
feeling
all the
good.
cyclists out there, I was holding like 120 watts, which is pretty low.
Yeah.
Going 25, 26, 27. At one point, 28 miles per hour on my tri-bars, just cruising.
Yeah, cruising.
And it wasn't until halfway through that first 28-mile stretch did I start to see people coming back the other way.
Right.
And because of the speed that I was going, I was like, this might be too good to be true, because I saw people on the other side riding slow.
Right.
Significantly
So
slower.
I was like,
Because you couldn't really feel the
No,
tailwind
you couldn't.
that
You couldn't.
much.
No.
It
And
just
you-
felt like
and
you were
you
just
did see
coasting.
But the
windy.
people going this way looked different.
Yeah,
they
They did
looked
not
different.
have a
Yeah.
smile on
Yeah.
their face.
Yeah.
It was
They were
different.
not smiling.
It was definitely different.
when I turned around, the second I turned around, I was like, there's no way. Like,
Yeah.
this wind is strong.
Right when you go down that thing and you loop back and you hit that first crosswind
I
with
was
the
like,
headwind,
oh,
it's
hell
like,
no.
oh, no way.
Yeah.
And then it changed from going, I was like 200 watts, 220 watts, going like 10 miles per hour, 8 miles per hour.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is going to be an issue, because I
Yeah.
got 28 miles back with this wind.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I got to do it again.
And
Yeah.
you're just looking ahead, and it's so far. And you know that because you're not turning, this problem's not going away.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's not going away.
And you start to ride that 28 miles with headwind, and everyone around is riding slow.
And everyone's like packed up because they can't pass each other.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's crazy.
it was bad. I remember
Go ahead.
I got back. I finally finished the first 28 mile stretch back with the headwind.
Yeah.
And I was a lot more tired than I had anticipated in my head.
sure.
My time was I was a lot more behind than I had anticipated to get to the halfway point.
Yep.
And all I could think was, I got to do that one more time. And
Same.
that wind is crazy.
What was your time when you were at the halfway mark?
Don't remember. But I get to the
That's a good
halfway.
question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I know what mine was, because I felt like I was going to get disqualified for sure. Because I thought that you had 8 hours.
Yeah.
Right? And so, man, I remember feeling good on the way there. My knee was feeling weird, but I was still like flying, feeling good. And on the way, you know, when you reach that point and you're able to see the people coming back,
Yeah.
I'm flying, and then I'm seeing this dude, super pro aerodynamic helmet, the crazy back disc
Yeah.
wheel, and I'm going, and I slowly see this guy's going, but and I feel the wind pushing me. He just goes off of the course and into a tree, and I just hear him yelling. And then I see an ambulance, and it's just that first stop at the aid station looked like not Iron Man. It looked like Burning Man. Like it was so windy, dude.
Yeah. People crying.
And like I'm like,
Yeah.
there are people crying.
Yeah.
I just remember pouring out my tailwind and all this
Flew
flies.
away. Did you say you saw a lady fly off her bike?
No, I talked to a lady at the bike shop after, and she said like there's a lady that was making a turn on one of the last turns, and she just basically got picked up by the wind and thrown over like.
I'm telling you.
Yo,
that's
so
gnarly.
telling
for
you
everyone
guys.
listening, that wind, like it wouldn't even be safe to be outside
I wanted to see-
walking
yeah,
in
for
that
sure,
wind. Like
yeah.
that wind was bad.
I wanted
30
to see-
mile an hour wind.
Yeah,
it was gnarly.
How was it for you, Alex?
The bike, I mean,
The wind, the whole thing. Like,
dude, it was mentally defeating because,
Yeah.
like, dude, I had done the 100-mile rides, like, just crushing it at a solid pace, and I was going from, like, and you can see it on the Ironman app, I was going, like, 23, 13,
Yeah.
10, 9, 8, like, and it just kept on going back and forth, but, dude, around that second loop, going back around, I was like, dude, there's no way, and then I have to run a marathon after this,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I was just trying to conserve my energy, you know, on that second go around.
Yeah.
That's when I realized, like, dude, I gotta really.
Because when you go out and you first do and you have the tailwind behind you, it seems so fast
Yeah.
to do the
So
turnaround.
Yeah.
And then when you turn
I
around and
was
you get the headwind,
cautious
it's like,
then. Yeah.
oh my god, this is never ending. It like
Yeah.
basically doubles or triples your time
It's
from
bad,
going
sure.
back.
I was at 4:15 when I saw my family at the turnaround point, and I was planning on chilling. I was like,
Yeah.
whatever, dude. I'm not even in a race. I'm just in a really long day.
Yeah.
So
You're
I'm
at
gonna chill.
Disneyland. You're at
I
Disneyland.
saw the family and I saw the 4:15. I was like, I stopped real quick. I saw them. I grabbed my stuff where you get your special needs stuff
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Shoved like a peanut butter. I didn't even stop for the peanut butter and jelly. I shoved the peanut butter and jelly in my pocket. Saw the family real quick and I was out because I'm like, dude, if that took me 4:15 and you only have 8 hours, I'm gonna be dead. I can't make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually finished at 8:07.
Oh,
So
wow.
I thought I was gonna get disqualified.
Oh.
Yeah, and then because I did my swim in 107, it was just
You got an extra hour,
Yeah.
13
Yeah.
basically.
yeah. But I fell. My legs couldn't even move
Put that
when I was
video
at
when
the
you got back.
at the dismount point at 112 miles. I was so stoked that I actually finished it. But then you stopped. I couldn't move my legs,
Trying to
dude.
clip out.
I
Yeah,
couldn't clip
get
out.
out
I
of
fell
clips.
over, and then I'm like,
Insert video.
nah, yeah, pay for that video. I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
there's
no way I can do a marathon after this.
Yeah.
I remember
I felt the
Alex
same
and I-
way.
So
There's no way.
I came back where I transitioned to, and I was
Yep.
walking, and I was like, that guy looks really familiar, and I was like, Alex, and you turned around, and that made me really comfortable that we were together.
Starting the run
And
together.
I was
yeah.
like, yo.
I was pumped, dude, because I didn't
was
know
like,
where
what are we-
everyone
I was like,
was.
what are we gonna do? How are we gonna do this? Right
When you
now?
said that to me and I put my shoes on, I'm like, dude, I have to run a marathon. There's no way. And I just
Yeah.
kept on putting one foot forward. And
Yeah.
then, well, the other thing, you know, I give credit to my wife. She put little letters in my transition bags
Oh,
with
that's
pictures
tight.
of the family. And
That's dope.
so I'm reading it. I'm like, there's no way I'm giving
Yeah.
up.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm gonna go that much harder. And yeah, but it was motivating to like run into you and
It
then
was
kick
good.
off the run
Yeah.
portion. And yeah, that.
I kind of feel like it resets like at a certain peak. Like when you hit mile 2 or
Yeah.
3 or something, you're like, oh, it just kind of resets. Now I just
Yeah.
need to finish this run and get like
Yes.
3 miles here, another 3 miles.
Yes.
Yeah,
Start
once
breaking it down.
You get that far, you're like, I
Yeah.
can keep
And I
You
think
could
the
do it.
biggest concern is an injury or a cramp
Yep.
or whatever.
Yep.
And I think
Cramp,
what
for
I
sure.
learned with the lack of training that I had, but I feel like I did do the nutrition part right. Like I had
Yeah.
more like I had so much random shit on me. I could have like started a little store. You know what I mean? I had
just
so
getting out
much.
on the trail.
So
that
like I
buffet.
know I had a lot of what I needed nutrition wise, and
Yeah.
I think because I was very like, okay, every hour the salt tab things that you
Yeah.
said, like I had it broken down to the best of my abilities, and I took all that. There were some pains, but nothing that I couldn't work
Overcome,
through.
yeah.
Yeah.
You just have to keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was it like on your final miles, crossing the finish line? What would you say to people thinking about taking it on, and what did you ultimately learned from it all?
I remember when, because it had been such a long day. I think by the time I almost crossed the finish, 14 hours in. We started at 7 in the morning. We went through that windy 6-hour, 7-hour bike ride. We were running because the run was in the dark towards the end. Extremely
dangerous.
Freezing.
Very dangerous.
8 p.m., 9 p.m.,
We
10
got
p.m.
stabbed.
Yeah. So I remember at the last 4 miles, they have you run around the Capitol, and that's when you start to get back into the mix of everything. Because the run was out, it seemed like a forest.
Yeah.
No spectators, completely dark.
In that park,
Yeah, in the last 4 miles, when I started to see everyone, I saw Chris, I saw Cass,
You start
I
seeing
saw
familiar
Clara.
faces.
Talk about being alone and cold.
Oh man,
For
It was
real.
just-
Yo, that was
For
some,
at least like 10
dark
miles.
and cold.
Way out
Yeah.
there
and
too.
lonely.
You're running solo for at least 10 miles in cold.
Just with your thoughts.
Eating pretzels and
Yeah.
drinking Gatorade and water and
God.
Chicken broth.
chicken broth.
I know, it was crazy.
Yeah, it was lonely.
What was it like when you crossed the finish line?
So yeah, I remember they have this path laid out for you, and that's the thing you see on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok. It's like that moment when you run on that carpet and they announce Kevin Sturdivant, you're an Ironman, because you hear them announcing
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And I remember it's so funny because on that carpet, I thought I was running so fast, and I watched the video back, and I'm barely moving. But yeah, when I crossed, I remember there's just so much going on, and I was just trying to take it all in.
Oh,
and
for sure.
Yeah.
it was a great experience. When I crossed, I remember I just started crying,
Yeah.
That's
and
tight.
I'm thinking like all that emotion. I
Yeah.
think because I was so disciplined for 10 months, and I had trained so hard, and it was such a long
So
journey. And it's like in the video game, like the final boss
Yep.
was that race, and
You
the
defeated
race
it.
was so
Yeah.
much harder than we had all anticipated.
Yeah.
I think all of that combined, when I crossed the line, it was just like the experience, the emotion. I
Yeah.
cannot even describe it.
That's why I say it's like that's the energy you cannot purchase.
You
Like
cannot.
no one could give you that
Yeah.
ever. Like if someone offered me $1 million, there's no way I could give them that
Yeah.
energy.
Like when you
Right.
cross that finish line,
There's no way.
all your hard work, all of the sacrifice, all of the 3 a.m. mornings, all of the mental and physical struggles that you went through on the race,
Yeah.
it all pays off
Yeah.
right when you cross the finish line. And
100%.
And you aren't getting paid for it.
no,
Yeah,
no.
you're
just
not
doing
getting
it.
paid for
Yeah.
it.
But you
No,
are
but
getting paid
But
for
it
it.
feels
You
like
are
you
getting
are.
paid
But
for
it
it.
feels like you
Just
are.
not with money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about for you guys crossing?
I don't know. For me, I sort of felt like how they set up the whole like last 2 miles. I felt like it was torture because
It was a tease.
it was a tease, right?
Yo, for
Wasn't it?
real.
It was a tease.
So you're going that first loop around, the finish line. And you're going past it, and you're going around the Capitol, and you're hearing them announce people, and you're like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god,
I'm there."
almost-
So when you
I'm
hit
almost-
that, it's mile 22.
yeah,
You still 4
It's
miles.
and then you have to go
That's
another 4
far.
miles, and
Yeah.
you're like, "What the hell?" And so I don't know. That it wasn't discouraging. It was just funny how that was set up.
Yeah.
But the only thing I had ingrained in my mind, and I think I self-sabotaged myself because I sent it to you guys probably the week of or the 2 weeks before, was the girl that couldn't cross the finish line. She was
That
Yeah.
video was going all over the place the
Dude.
week before our race.
At Kona.
the last 4 miles. That's all I had in my head. You're finishing on
Yeah.
your feet. You're not
Yeah.
crawling across this thing. And
Yeah.
I knew once I made that last turn and hit that carpet, it was just like a sense of peace. It was just a sense of, mixed emotions again.
Yeah.
At the moment, like
A lot of mixed
just-
emotions.
it was overwhelming, but then it was like super satisfying, and like we all have said,
It's like
you
we did
you
it.
you
Yeah.
can't relive that unless you do another race, and I think we're all getting to
Yeah.
that point, right?
Yeah.
Having that
And I don't
run.
even know if you could really even feel that because like
Yeah.
the way we train and the body aches we went through for this
Yeah.
training, like it might be a little bit easier next time we train. So
Yeah.
this one's
Yeah.
way rougher and we'll probably never get that joy again. It'll be a different type of joy the
Right.
next one
I
we
think
do.
yeah, because hopefully we're doing better on our time,
Yeah,
and our
yeah, yeah.
completion time, and
Yeah.
then so we're like that much stoked
Yeah.
about the situation.
And it might be
but-
a whole different new purpose, like
Yeah,
what
for
it's
sure.
gonna be.
Yeah,
For
Yeah.
sure.
What about for you? When you crossed?
Let me see, man. It was fortunately my family found me because so Alana knew what I was doing. She knows
Yeah.
we've been together 20 years, and she knows what I was doing. And what I was doing was exactly how I waited to the last minute, I was gonna use up all of my time. I was like, dude, I shouldn't even be here. I'm gonna use all of my time, and that's what I was doing. And so I didn't even have my phone. She knew that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
And somebody had said that I had until 1, right? And she knew, so she's watching me on the tracker, and she's like, Kev's gonna wait and you go to the very last minute. Yeah. My uncle found me and told me, he's like, hey dude,
I don't even know how he found you.
I have no idea.
Crazy,
At mile 13 or something.
Was
That
dark.
was pitch black over there. I don't know how.
I hear him. He's like, "That's Kev. Kev."
I don't know how
he
found you.
Dude, you're not gonna make it.
Crazy.
He's like, you're not gonna make it at yours. And what I was doing, basically, I was like, 4 miles an hour, which you walk an 18-minute mile.
Yeah.
So all I had to do was a 15-minute mile.
Yeah.
And so I had this little science of walk, jog. And so my uncle finds me, he's like, yo, you need to average a 12-minute, which that's a jog.
Yeah.
That's a jog.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I was freezing. I was in the cold. I was sweating next to the river. My son found me, gave me this jacket. It was a battle. And then wifey ran into me at mile 18. She literally ran with me for 4 miles till mile like 22 or something. Chris ran with me the last 2. And it was just like, we did it, Jonas.
Yeah.
We did it, Tim.
It
like,
was
we did it.
crazy.
And you know, what I learned through it was like, it's life, right? How does it work? How does making anything possible work? See something you're inspired by, commit to it.
Yeah.
Put a date on it. Line up a crew around you that supports you. Quiet any haters. Have a plan. Have the right tools. Stick to a schedule.
Sure.
And then just step by step, continue going for it.
Yeah.
And then I think realize that when it's all over and said and done, there's going to be this celebration, but you got to set another one.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes,
so
yeah.
whether the experience comes from doing another Ironman or starting another company or selling a bigger house or creating our dream brand or whatever it may be, I feel like this experience and what the Ironman process is about is highly applicable to any area of life,
Yeah,
which is
absolutely.
why I'm a huge advocate
Yeah.
for people to take it on.
It just feels like
Yeah.
everything that you were doubting yourself about, like going up to the race, it's just like all cleared out.
Yeah.
Like now you feel invincible and you can start
Yeah.
like anything you want to start after that. You're just like, all those things I doubted myself, I did an Ironman.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
how many people could do an Ironman? Like nothing could stop me now. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like,
yeah.
You reach clarity.
yeah, you
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
reach clarity.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when you're on that bike ride and you're like talking to yourself and talking to family and like, you know, thanking, being grateful for like how windy it is or like
Yeah.
how your legs
The
feel.
post you did about gratitude, make sure to put that up because that was a really, really fire post.
Yeah.
Because it's not even crossing the finish line. It's what you have to tell yourself to get through it.
Yeah.
And your car ain't around, your status ain't around. Your nothing is around but your mind, body, and soul.
Yeah.
And you realize that if that's all I got,
And you start appreciating
And
it
you do
because
Yeah.
like all of us is like we have all our 5 senses.
Yeah.
There's people that were out there that were deaf or blind. Like imagine if you were deaf, like you can't hear the cheers, that you can't feed off
Right.
that type of energy. Like we're lucky to have
Dude,
all our
so
5
lucky.
senses. We're lucky to even like be able to do it. Like
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So anybody that's able to do an Ironman, you could do it. Like there's
Yeah,
no,
of course.
you just got to put the consistency in the training and you be
Yeah.
straight.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
yeah,
Like you know.
absolutely.
Because you started thanking everything. I started thanking the wind.
the only way.
I started thanking my cramps.
Only way.
I started
It's the
thanking
only way.
everything. Like,
Yeah,
you know?
it's the only
Embrace
way.
You gotta
it,
be
yeah.
grateful
I
for
noticed
it.
the times during the wind when I was cursing, literally out loud multiple times. When I would curse,
The wind
I would
would get.
it's like the
Oh.
wind would increase, and then I would feel pain.
Yeah.
And so I made up a song to God about the wind, which nobody will ever hear out loud. But I had a song to God thanking Him for the wind,
Yeah.
and that made it easier. And it was
I
like
was
that
the same
gratitude.
way. I was
Yeah.
the same way. I was like, thank you, Win, for being so strong and making it more difficult. I'm like, yo, just go away now. Just go away. And then it'll go away for
Yeah.
like 3 seconds and you make a turn.
A
It's like,
little break.
oh, you back. You're back
Thought
now.
we were good.
Yeah.
I thought
You're
we were
back.
cool.
I'm like, all right. This is the way it's going to be. Let's just push through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Any other insight you guys would like to share with people thinking about it? What you learned?
Say go for it.
Yeah.
You know, definitely do it. I mean, I even think about my journey of being an endurance athlete. 2 years ago, I couldn't even run more than 3 miles without. I don't even think I could have ran like 2 miles in a row without getting really tired. Shin splints. Like I'm a fairly new runner. Swimming's been in my background. I've been cycling for a little longer, but I'm really new to running. I just ran my first marathon earlier this year, and to think about what I was able to accomplish. It's possible.
It is possible.
It's just you need to set a goal of what you want to do, whether it's a half marathon, whether it's your first 5K. And once you set the goal, after that, you just need to figure out what do I need to do to reach that in the next, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. And as long as you follow it,
consistency creates confidence.
You know?
Like, you get more confidence once you stay consistent with your plan. With anything, like, you know.
And like I went into the Ironman when I signed up. I was like, I have no, and I think this applies to anything, to business and to life. And it's like when I signed up for the Ironman, I was like, I have no clue what's going to happen on October 23rd.
Right.
I don't know what's going to happen. My bike could break. There could be, anything could happen. But what I can control is being strict with my training, being disciplined with the routine, being disciplined with my diet, with my recovery process. So when I signed up, I was like, if I put my all into this, whatever happens on race day happens. But if I went into it knowing that the 10-month process of training, if I gave it my all, that's all that matters. And you kind of just show up to the race day.
And the training will teach you everything you need to learn.
It will.
On race day. Like,
Some of Tim's words when I'm making this joke with him, he asked me I asked him, hey, what was your time? And he said 14:43. And I said, shoot me straight. You think I could beat that? And he replied back, it's all in the training.
Yeah,
it's all in the training.
It's all in the training.
It is all in training. You learn so many. I learned nutrition in the training.
Yeah.
I learned how really hard I could push myself on the bike. But there's the unknown too during the race. Like, you can't train yourself to be in the water with that many people, or you can't train yourself to be in that headwind. That's felt like a 200-mile bike ride. Like you just can't train yourself. But during training, you figure it out, and you learn how to adapt. Like, your mind just automatically adapts to that situation.
You learn who you are. You learn who you are. You learn where you're negative. You learn where you're positive. I learned, and not that I didn't know this, but I learned this at a very high level, that I wait to the last minute and I'll do the minimum to slide by and get it done. And although that's okay, there's also consequences to that. There's also consequences to that.
Definitely consequences to that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if anyone's considering it, if you're doubting yourself, if you're fearful of it or anxious, you should definitely do it. Like, that's
you should look up the people that actually even do the Ironman. They're not all athletes. They don't all look like athletes at all.
No.
That's the misconception, right? There were multiple times where people pass me up and I'm like, okay. That dude is literally. It's got to be pushing 80.
It's actually crazy, by the way.
It's crazy. All ages. The oldest lady was 74 or something that did it, right? She was 74 years old. Yeah, anything is possible. Anything is definitely possible.
It's a great experience. That's all I'll say. Everything about it, the training, the moments in training, the race, especially if you do it with buddies too.
Find a crew.
It's an overall great experience.
You need a solid support team too. And obviously, you've got to make sure your family's on board too. Like that, you can't just sign up for it without having your family support, because they're just as much as involved as you are,
especially on those long training days where you're doing a training that's like 6 or 7 hours. It's like, your family has to know.
You got to have that support crew, because when you're not training, you're with them, and after the race and during the race, like they're taking care of you, like they're rehabilitating you, and and they're getting you through those emotional roller coasters that you inevitably face during the training. But
shout out to our ladies. We are all blessed to have
100%
like superhero.
There's like a term that's
corner.
I think it's like Ironman widow or something during the time of training. They're considered Ironman widow because their husband's never around. Their husband's never around during the training, so they're considered widows.
Shout out to everyone. Shout out to everyone who tracked us, because I got so many messages.
Yo,
Oh,
me too. I felt bad for the people. If I had known
Yo.
that people were gonna be tracking me, I would have probably tried a little harder.
People were watching it like a TV
It
show.
was a
Well,
movie,
it was
bro.
on YouTube, Facebook.
It was a movie.
People were definitely involved.
A lot of people said they were tracking me and were pretty concerned that I wasn't gonna finish.
I was concerned when I came back to the village and when I had to do, that was like a mile 22, and I was asking KP, saw KP, I was like, yo, where's everybody at? Like,
Yeah.
Where's Justin? I already knew
Yeah.
this dude was finished. I already knew Alex was finished. So I was like, yo, where's Justin? Where's Ian at? And then he's like, oh, Justin just passed, Ian just passed. I'm like, where's Kev at? KP looked, he had a nervous look on his eyes. I remember his eyes, he was just like, he's 10 miles back. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
we were all worried. We're
Crazy.
like, he got to finish.
If it
He
wasn't
has to
for the
finish.
people, I wouldn't have finished. It wasn't for
Yeah.
my family. If it wasn't for people stepping in, I would not. It wasn't for you guys coaching me. I wouldn't have finished.
Yeah.
I would not have
It's
made
definitely
it.
a
I had
team
30
effort.
minutes to go.
But that's a testament
fair.
to
Yeah.
your mental and physical
Yeah.
abilities, dude. And
Mental
that's-
is definitely.
you grinded it out. You know, even though you're saying like, I'm a poster child of what not to do, but you still did it. You
Yeah.
overcame.
That
all
was the
So
goal.
that's like huge in itself. Like
That
Yeah.
was the goal. What would you change if you did a new one, another one?
Train.
Training.
Proper training,
Proper
proper
training.
schedule.
Yeah.
You know, proper training, proper schedule. Really look at the whole timeline.
Yeah.
And like the thing is, it's not like I didn't know it. Like you gave me multiple schedules.
I set up everything for
You
Kev.
gave me, but it was like,
I set
why?
up everything for
Yo,
Kev.
you bought me a watch.
I'm out of a while. I'm like, yo, take my helmet.
Gave me
Here's
a
some
helmet.
nutrition. I'm like, take all of
So
this.
it
Got him
was-
some swim shorts.
That's why I'm saying you learn about yourself.
Yeah.
In life, I have been this way. Like,
Yeah.
I've done things the harder way in a lot of areas of my life.
Yeah.
Like, why do I choose to take the hardest way possible? I think sometimes because I want to be able to say, look what I did.
I mean,
Yeah.
I remember there's a point.
Subconsciously, yeah.
I remember there's a point where you're like, there's no shortcuts to this, huh?
Yeah.
Like, there's no way to get around this, huh?
No.
I'm like,
No.
no, there's not really no shortcuts around the
And I
Ironman.
got it done. I got it done.
That's all that matters. That was a goal for everybody. I was like, yo,
Yeah.
if I finish, because we have 17 hours to finish it. I was like, if I could finish in 16 hours and 59 minutes, that's all that matters. Like,
Yeah.
I don't
Just
even
get
care.
through it, yeah.
My goal
Yeah.
is to finish.
The fact that I used up so much time and I still feel like I got my ass kicked, because it's like if you use up that much time, then you should feel like a little bit more of a breeze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I used up all that time and I got my ass kicked. But I got it done.
Yeah,
Got it
yeah,
done.
yeah.
You guys gonna do another one?
We are. We're all doing
Yeah.
another
Yeah,
one.
we're all going to do
I'm
that.
not doing another one.
You're doing
Yeah,
it.
I'll
you
do
are.
other halves.
No, you're
No,
good.
So
you're
look.
gonna do it.
So we'll get him to do a half, and then he's gonna
We'll
Nah,
see.
sign
he's
up.
gonna do it.
We'll
He's
see.
gonna do a whole.
We'll sign up for a full
We'll see.
after you do
We'll
the next
see.
half.
You're gonna do
see.
a full.
Well, look, I appreciate you guys. I couldn't have done this without you. I wouldn't have done this without you guys. So you are who you spend your time with, and I'm super grateful to have brothers like you in my life that do awesome things, that have a commitment to their health and their vitality. And I look forward to watching you guys complete your next one. Great job, guys.
Yeah.
Yep, we're out.